All right, so this is a really interesting topic, and it's one that was brought to us by Luke Fox on Sportsnet. He published this article earlier in the week, 3 bold NHL predictions for 2022. The Lightning win it all again. Now, that's not going to be the prediction we talk about. We're not going to talk about the Lightning and the 3rd Stanley Cup in a row. Screw that. I don't want to talk about that. That's going to get me super upset for the week. But instead, we're going to be going over one of the other predictions that is highlighted in this piece. A link will be in the description if you want to go ahead and read this article. But just for some context, the topic we're going over involves the Columbus Blue Jackets. It involves one of their players, and it goes over just the progression of how things have gone this season so far for the Blue Jackets and this player in particular. Before we go over onto that, though, let's go over onto the Metro Division standings and see where Columbus is right now. They are currently, 1st, 2nd, 3rd, 4th, 5th, 6th in the division with 31 points in 30 games played. They're 1 point behind Philadelphia and 10 points behind Pittsburgh. Pittsburgh is 4th in that division. Now, the Penguins have such a huge lead on the next place team for the final wildcard, but that final wildcard is indeed being heavily contested right now between Boston with 34 points in 28 games in the Atlantic, Detroit, who have 33 points in 33 games played, the Flyers, who have 32 points in 32 games, and then, of course, Columbus is right there, too. Tied with New Jersey, they both have 31 points. The final wildcard spot is pretty much the last resort for all these teams because they're all kind of hovering in the same point per game range, and it's going to be pretty tough to see who amongst these teams edges out the other into ultimately making the final spot. But when it comes to the success of this Blue Jackets team, they're 3-6-1 in their last 10. They haven't really been all too great as of late. They started out a lot hotter than they are right now. And all of a sudden, you have yourselves a conversation that is brought upon here by Luke Fox in his predictions article that says that one Patrik Laine's name might just be on the move again. Here is his prediction for 2022. Laine gets traded again. It's hard to believe Laine will still only be 23 years old when the Blue Jackets season comes to its conclusion. The electric, if not inconsistent, winger has been the source of a captivating 44-goal campaign, a blockbuster trade, and more bursts of on-ice highlights and off-ice drama than we can count. Man, what a great sentence. That's a very good way to sum up Patrik Laine and his career thus far, isn't it? Despite the Finnish sniper's hot start this fall, though, with 10 points in 10 games, a fine rebound from his dismal 2021, injuries and the tragic death of his father Harry at age 54 have halted both his and the Blue Jackets' bid for playoff contention. Now, before we proceed, thoughts are going out to the Laine family. Of course, we know how impactful this entire experience was for him. He had to take some time off. He was very emotional about it in the media, so biggest condolences going out to Laine and his loved ones. However, when it comes to the amount of time that he did indeed miss out on, not just because of this tragic family event, but because of the injury he sustained as well, Patrik Laine played his last game before coming back on November 3rd against Colorado. He had 2 assists. It was a 5-4 overtime win. Pretty good. He then took the next near 2 months off, returned on December 30th against the Nashville Predators, and then played another game against the Carolina Hurricanes where they lost 7-4. Now the Blue Jackets are in the spot they're in where they're barely out of the playoffs, and Patrik Laine, the guy has a point per game on the year, which is not bad in the slightest. He had himself a really good point streak to kick off the year, where he got 2 points in the opening game against Arizona and then got points in 4 straight games, going pointless in 2 against Dallas and New York, and then getting 2 straight back-to-back 2-point games again against New Jersey and Colorado. So the numbers for Patrik Laine heading into the break that he had were pretty significant. He had 10 points in, I believe it was 9 games played. Now he's at 11 points in 11 games played, still a point-per-game player, still a lot better than what he was last season, where for the Columbus Blue Jackets he had 21 points in the shortened 56-game campaign. He only played 45 games, though, so there was a limited sample size there. But for Patrik Laine, we always kind of known just how good he really was. Ever since his debut year, 30 goals, 64.73 games played as an 18-19-year-old, and then the next few seasons as well. 40 goals in 2017-18, that was arguably the prime of Patrik Laine and his career. His 2018-19, though, was seen as somewhat of a disappointment. He only had 30 goals, but, okay, look, 30 goals, that's a lot. Right? That's a good number for anybody in the NHL. It's just, for Patrik Laine, we knew he had the potential to get more, and there were so many concerns in this season about his defensive play and his overall engagement, and this is kind of where we started to see the rumors speculating as to whether or not we should, could, or would see a Patrik Laine trade. Give it another year, though, and eventually the trade goes down. He gets himself under a point per game and 28 goals in 68 games in 2019-20, and then the trade rumors really start to get busy in that summer. They come back, he plays a game, has 3 points, I believe he has a fight as well, so good on him, and then he gets traded to Columbus. This is what Luke Fox is writing about when it comes to the potential of a Laine trade and why this might happen. Laine accepted a hefty qualifying offer last summer. 1 year, $7.5 million a season, but he will again be a restricted free agent with arbitration rights in the summer of 22. Jarmo Kekalainen cannot run the risk of inking Laine to another 1-year deal and effectively walking an elite talent to UFA status shortly after he turns 25. So, does Laine want to commit long-term to an organization that has been shedding assets for futures and clearly needs several more pieces to contend? We doubt it. This is kind of where the conversation goes down. Are the Blue Jackets ready to go out there and actually contend at the moment? We've already seen after 2 months without Laine that this team isn't really all too great. And so if you're Patrik Laine going out there and saying, okay, I'm expiring at the end of this offseason, which is kind of the entire conundrum that made him such a big piece for a trade a year ago. It's happening again now, though. The conversation is simple. Can you project your team to being a good team and a competitive team that has playoff success in the next few seasons? Because if you're not, who knows if it's really worth it to sign a guy like Patrik Laine long-term to play the prime of his career in an organization that is not confident enough they'll be able to go out there and actually contend. For a guy like Patrik Laine, who does kind of hold the cards here because he does have the contract negotiation just at the tip of his fingers with the pen that he signs, will he be able to say, okay, screw it, I'll sign, 6-7 years and I'll sign for a $9 million AAV salary because I'm doing really well, he's been very good this season. Is he going to be willing to sign a contract like that with Columbus of all teams? You know you can't sign him short-term, Jarmo Kekalainen, because if you do, he'll go right to free agency immediately after. He's not going to have those restricted free agency rights that keep him assigned to you guys, even if you might not have a contract underway. This entire thing gets a lot more difficult when you consider the timeline of Laine's projected prime, I guess, as well as the timeline of when the Blue Jackets are supposed to be good. I like the guys you have on your team. Big fan of Max Domi, of course, because as a Montreal Canadiens fan, I kind of have to go out there and cheer for the boys. You have yourselves Cole Sillinger. I like him. I like Igor Chinakhov, too. I'm a very big fan of Kent Johnson. Can't wait to see what he's going to be able to do. But it's going to be a while before all these guys, Chinakhov, Johnson, Sillinger, heck, even Boquist, it's going to be a while before these guys are at the best points in their careers when the Blue Jackets are actually going to be able to compete and consistently win playoff rounds. I know Columbus fans are pretty adamant on waiting it out because we all know how good Kent Johnson and all these guys are going to be, so just hold your horses there. But can you say the same to Patrik Laine? Can you say the same, okay, sorry, we just gotta wait till 2025 because that's when Cole Sillinger is gonna be like, 30, 35 goal material consistently, and Kent Johnson is gonna be here too doing his thing, putting up, 60, 70 points a year? Wait till 2025, Patrik Laine. By then, you're going to be, how old is Patrik Laine going to be in 2025? 26, 27 years old? You want to tell this guy to wait? Is he going to be willing to sign a contract that goes on for that long with that amount of uncertainty? Because you know you can't sign him short term, right? So if you're a Blue Jackets fan, let me know in the comments, what is your game plan? Not yours as in the teams, but yours as in what do you think the team should do in particular? Keep Laine around after the trade deadline, try to negotiate a new contract with him. If you do negotiate a new contract with him, what's the move? Do you go short-term? Do you go long-term? Long-term, you have to really question, is Laine actually going to be willing to sign a deal like that? Short-term, is Jarmo Kekalainen going to be willing to sign a deal like that? And if your answer lies somewhere in the middle, I would love to see why that would be the case as well. However, if your conclusion is to just trade Laine away instead before the trade deadline, then let me know what you want. What do you want for a guy like this, who's essentially going to be a playoff rental because he does expire and he's going to have arbitration rights and he is a young guy who has a good future, and there's a lot of conversation to be going on about this player. So let me know all your thoughts in the comment section below. I hope you enjoyed this video, 99, and bye.